you look at this? This is R.D.G. I'm gonna be reviewing the first ever, and thank you for this milestone, because now I'm going to be this is in fact the Transformers X Back to the Future Gigawatt, or Gigawatt, whatever you call it. But great Scott, this thing's amazing. Look at the box art. Of course, it's supposed to celebrate the 35th anniversary of Back to the Future. As you can see, Gigawatt is a special case. It came from a comic book strip, although I am surprised the flux capacitor has become his bulk. And it takes only 1.21 gigawatts to power this guy up. And my god, this thing's amazing. And I am surprised. Look at all this. Gigawatt. I never thought Doc Brown would ever create a spectacular Autobot named Gigawatt. And my god, a time machine Cybertronian sounds too good to be true. So, without further ado, let's get Gigawatt and send him back to the future.
3:28 a.m.
And here we got Gigawatt. Right here, right now, whatsoever. Let's just say it takes 1.21 gigawatts to power the flux capacitor right here. And of course, I am stoked that I was able to acquire this. Because man, I love Back to the Future. Because I never thought I'd see the day where they make a collaboration between Back to the Future and Transformers, and Gigawatt's the result. Oh man. You know, to be honest though, I'm actually really stoked. I am so surprised to know about this. Okay, so, let's just say, I have no idea that this exists whatsoever. I know there was the Monster series of Universal Monsters. So, I do plan on getting them in the near future. But right now, we got Gigawatt. So, let's take a look at it. The painting and the sculpting on Gigawatt is straight up fucking spectacular. This version of a Cybertronian time machine, it is undeniably amazing. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of the collaboration. So, Gigawatt. So it turns out the Gigawatt came from a comic series, which is a Back to the Future Transformer crossover right here. So, if some of you wondering, like, what the hell is Back to the Future? Well, to sum up for the new generation, Back to the Future is in fact a 3-part movie which collabs with Marty McFly and is, I do not know, but Doc Brown who time traveled in a car, who's traveled through time in a DeLorean. Yeah, and it turns out Gigawatt is that DeLorean, and the DeLorean's a time machine, so yeah. So I'm kind of surprised that they have some Easter eggs with it. Of course, if you take a look at closely Gigawatt's head sculpt, its head sculpt looks amazing. Of course, I have seen a fan series, or at least a fan movie or trilogy about Gigawatt being a descendant who has the abilities of Vector Prime. And some of you who do not know Vector Prime is in fact one of the original Primes, who is a master at time, who can foresee future events. And let's just say Gigawatt fits in the description. But let's take a closer look back to his head, but not to his head, to his chest. Because as you can see, it comes with the flux capacitor. Now of course, if you take a closer look right here down there, you can see that Gigawatt has the time panels. This one tells you where you're going, this one tells you where you are, and this one tells you where you were. Of course, if I'm getting that correct, October 26, 1985, which is when the day Marty McFly first time traveled. Of course, this one is the future 2015, and the last one 1955, the day Marty McFly met his parents, and therefore the trilogy of the first movie. So I kind of like it. Kind of like that Easter egg. But there are more Easter eggs, but we'll have to get into Gigawatt into vehicle mode as soon as we're done. But Gigawatt does come with accessories, because what's the Transformer without some accessories? For some accessories, we got this cable, which this cable will hook where it came from the movie. Of course, you can use it as a weapon. For all we know, you pick scrubs. You just plug it into these pegs, well, ports on his arms, like so. It can be used as a whip or claw or whatever you want it. But also Gigawatt comes with a blaster. And of course, the blaster looks kind of flat. You need some dry brushing, a bit of more paint. But if you look at the end, Mr. Fusion. If you don't know, that's from the second Back to the Future movie, which Marty goes to the future, which is 2015. Of course, it's fake. Because let's be honest though, they could have at least done it in the late 21st century instead of 2015. Because hey, nobody knows what the future was like back at 1985. So okay. I'm kind of glad that Back to the Future is the only movie series which no changes, no recons or reboots whatsoever. Amazing, perfect. Similar to Pirates of the Caribbean, it is peak cinema. And yet, let's just say, Back to the Future will forever be a masterpiece. But of course, if we take a closer look at some of the detailings, you can tell that it actually Gigawatt has some wires attached to him, in which, if you take a close, you can tell these wires are quite a little plastically, it's a bit fragile. So don't try to rip them off, you scrubs. But in the end, let's just say Gigawatt's legs are just part of the machine for the time machine, the DeLorean. Of course, for his back, yeah, you can actually see some retro electric or I don't know, any paneling patterns on the windshield. And of course, these are the DeLorean. Of course, this is a DeLorean, so you're just gonna have to pry it open like this or close it like that. But you'll see it at the transformation. But of course, this one looks absolutely flat since it lacks paint. But I just kind of wish that this kneecap right here has the same flex capacitor capabilities as this one. But I also quite like that Gigawatt came at a retro G1 packaging, because let's just be honest though, this is like a first ever thing ever. Of course, if you take a look at the back of his legs, you can tell that there's some wiring that has a bit of coloring, matches the opposites of coloring whatsoever, even different paneling right here and another one right here. So let's just say Gigawatt, let's just say this part's a little weird for me, but I don't know, it's just the ass. So that is quite Gigawatt for his robot mode. Of course, I do not know much about Gigawatt, but of course, TFI Creations, as I said before, about the Gigawatt series, sub-series, which introduced Shattered Optimus Prime and the Shattered Glass universe. Gigawatt was partly responsible for that. If you want to take a look at that kind of series, link will be in the description below to this guy. Yeah, this guy right here created a fantastic adaptation for Gigawatt. So go give this guy a shout out. So without further ado, we'll just continue with the review and finish with posability. Let's see, so for Gigawatt, he can do a swivel around his head like this. Arms can go full 360, but the only problem was the door. So that's gonna be a problem with a hinge joint here, the arm, and the swivel of the wrist. It's just, oh, I don't think it does. Yeah, that one, my bad. There's a waist swivel here. Can kick that far. Can kick back this far. Wow, that's odd. Beautiful straight in. Take a knee here and a good pivot. Well, the problem is just this gap. That's kind of a bitch, though. So for posability for Gigawatt, it's decently great. I mean, it's really good. I would very much like to see Gigawatt in a Transformers cartoon or a show or even a movie. But the movie it's a large step. But of course, 8-Blink was in there, so who was complaining? Oh yeah, back to the gun. Blaster, you could actually put Mr. Fusion on top like this. You know, aside from the back, but you can actually do that. Now of course, since Gigawatt is in fact a deluxe class size, he will be a bit of a short sack. So let's get to size comparison. So for size comparison, here we got the deluxe class War for Cybertron Siege Chromia, Voyager class Starscream, and finally the leader class Studio Series Grimlock. So, size comparison is done, and now we shall finally begin with the transformation. And, as they gotta say, gotta go back in time. Phew. Okay, here we got Gigawatt. Now of course, this DeLorean came from Back to the Future, which looks greatly movie accurate to the movie. So, of course, we get to see the painting and the sculpting on the DeLorean looks great. We have a bit of red, blue, and green wiring with some black wiring and gray wiring. And of course, we got the out of time. Okay, minus the script, minus the paint bleeding, I guess, or the scratch, but okay, but other than that, we got some black wirings on the side, make, of course, similar to the movie, we get to see at least, like, conduits. And all of that fuels the flux capacitor, which the underside, I mean, that's kind of clean on this part, on at least this half, but the rest looks, like, empty and hollow. Now, of course, the DeLorean you can actually open the doors like this to represent how the DeLorean opens. But when you open it, you can see at least it looks hollow. But of course, trying to close and open all this is kind of a bitch to do. But it is a noble sacrifice we have to do. Now let's bring back Gigawatt's accessories. These accessories includes back to the wire, which has a hole right here. You can plug it in, which you can recreate the iconic Back to the Future, the struck by lightning. But you can actually refuse through the Mr. Fusion. Of course, you can plug Mr. Fusion like this. They can be fueled and everything back. Gigawatt's blaster, we can plug it in through here, and then you can just leave it like this. Man, this actually looks great. But, as Doc Brown once said,
"Hey Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88. Roads? Well, we're going. We don't need roads."
oh yeah. And the reason, because if you can flip the wheels like this on 4 sides, you can get the DeLorean to fly, to soar upon the skies, so it can time travel at 88 miles per hour with the exact 1.21 gigawatts with Mr. Fusion or with plutonium. Either way, I do not know how it works anymore. But anyways, Gigawatt is in fact an amazing addition to my collection. And of course, the greatest addition to the Transformers line itself. And this will be an amazing addition for Gigawatt. So I got nothing else to say to Gigawatt, except that he can roll great, and he looks very, very amazing. I have no other comments, except that I have one only comment, and that's size comparison in Gigawatt's vehicle mode. So to finally wrap up this video with the final size comparison, here we got the Siege Chromia, the Siege Starscream, and finally the King of the Dinobots in the live action movie, trim lock. So that is extremely it for Gigawatt. And I gotta say though, Gigawatt has been an amazing video. Except that I forgot one of the details, and that's the instruction book. And man, the instruction book looks amazing, but we got more than meets the eye. Where's the Transformer Collaborative? And this is from 2020. And hold on, today is 20... Oh wow, that Back to the Future is now 40 years old. Wow. Maybe they should have at least like make a locomotive when it's 45 years old this time. Transformers designers. If you make another Back to the Future, make sure it's the locomotive Transformer. Because the locomotive in Back to the Future is fucking phenomenal. I mean, I want to see more what that locomotive is capable of. But that is it for Back to the Future and it for Gigawatt. And man, this has been the most amazing video I've made thus far. So I hope you all love Back to the Future, and I hope you all like this video. Smash the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and make sure to comment down below for more content like this. And like I said before, check the link in the description for TFI Creations fan video of Gigawatt. And happy 4th of July to everyone. And a shout out to TFI Creations. I know I'm out of breath because not only I've seen this and it is freaking phenomenal. Man, I really hope I can get there one day. But also don't forget to check my Instagram and TikTok so you don't miss any updates. And make sure you all continue loving me and supporting me as we continue to go forward with more videos like this every day. Anyways, this is R.D.G. and this is my final transmission. Tell all R1 and transmission.